Hey there folks, back at you with another video. Today we're going to be working on this 2016 F-150. Customer complaint was coolant leak, and then found the leaks at the turbo where the coolant lines come in and go out. So yeah, we're going to show you today on how to remove that turbo the fast and easy way. So here we go. Please like and subscribe, helps the channel out a lot, don't cost nothing. Let's get past the intro and let's get into this. Alright, so like I said at the intro, customer states coolant leak, did a pressure test on it and found the nipples at the or the connectors where the coolant line goes into the turbo, found them leaking. It's a very common problem on these 3.5 twin turbo engines. So yeah, so we're going to show you step by step on how to tackle that. I mean, it's not too complicated, so you should be able to do that for yourself if you want to try that. So here we go. First things first, you got to take the wheel off. Once you take the wheel off, we need to get into getting the inner fender cover off. So there's several bolts and clips here. There's one bolt right there. That's 5.5 millimeter, another one right here, and then we got a couple right here on the inside like that, and then we got some clipper doodles right there, right there. We don't have to worry about the plastic piece here, we can leave that alone. And then on this side here on the back, you gotta pop one of the clipper doodles here on the bottom. You gotta take that off right there. And then you can move this plastic piece over to the side, but we'll show you. And then there's some more bolts there, and then we got some clips right here. There's another one right there, and then we got to undo these clips here. So we'll get started on that. We'll bring it right back. Here we go. All right, so I use a pair of pliers like this. Sorry for the lighting. There you go. What I'll do is I'll grab it with these pliers right here and jiggle it back and forth, give it a push, and then before you know it, you'll have it pushed out. I like to use two hands for that, but you get the concept. And then here, that's what I was talking about over here. There's a clip or a clipper doodle right here underneath. You pop that out, and look at that, you got 1, 2 more screws there that needs to come out. So now you know which ones to do here. So, and then this is where this is the hole for that clipper doodle right there. So pop that out, you can get to these two, and then you can take the inner fender wheel, the inner wheel well out. So I still have a couple more to go, but we'll bring you right back. Here we go. Okay, so you push it down, you pull down on it over here, and then push with the other hand, push up here, and then it will come out of this trim right here. And then these are your the connectors. You got to make sure you put those back when you put the before you put the inner piece back on. So you're gonna have to hold it in place like that, and that gives you room to put them back in, and before you put them all before you put this all back together. But yeah, so we're gonna take care of this. I'm gonna grab my screws and clipper doodles. We're gonna put those up and out of the way, and here we go for the next step. Okay, so there's our turbo. There's one of the coolant lines right there, and this is that. Here's one of the connectors. Well, it's a connector on the other side that's leaking, but we need to pull the turbo off, and we're going to replace both. So I strongly recommend doing that. So here we go. Next thing will be the exhaust manifold bolt. So put a little bit of penetrating oil on there. There you go. Might as well do a little bit on the hose clamps just because of it. We're going to have those bolts that need to come off, so might as well drench those a little bit. So yeah, next things, we're going to grab a 7mm, and we're going to undo these hose clamps right here. Oh, sorry. So right here, there is one of the hose clamps, and there's the other. So 7 mil. I'm gonna pop those loose, and then we need to come to the top because they have a little bracket where they hold themselves in place. Got to pop that loose, so that way we can get those hoses out of there. And then yeah, we'll bring it right back when we get that done. Here we go. Here. Okay, so we got the hose clamp loose on the bottom. Now we're coming here on the top. This one here has this boot right here. Then it's got some lines right here. Just push this in, make sure that these come out, and you can twist them off ever so gently. Same thing with this one right here. There was another one right here. This one, same thing, you know, you got to move this clip over here on the side, and then you can slowly twist it off and it will come right off. There's another big one down here. You just got to give it a twist. This one, just got to give it a twist, and then it'll pop loose. And then right there, let's see if you can get you in there. Right there at the end of my flashlight, this hose has got a nipple on there. It sits right into there. And then this one here, same thing. Right here. So you got to pop that loose. And then when you get that done, this hose comes right off, and then you don't have to pull it out. Just pull it up so it's out of our way. I want to show you right here. And then this is how it looks like. So that one there is pulled back far enough, and then that blue hose that was sitting there, I pulled that out. So now we got enough. Now we're going to have enough room to work or take that turbo out. So next thing, we're going to take the exhaust manifold or the exhaust bolts off the exhaust pipe there. I think that was 15 mil, so I'm going to go underneath and get that done real quick, and we'll bring it right back. Here we go. Alright, so we got the nuts off, and then you can slide this flange back and out of the way. This one right here, slide that backwards, and you got one here and a nut right there. Now I'm going to grab a little pick like this, and then right there at that coolant fitting right here, you're gonna you need to dig that in and get behind that like this right here, and then you can pull this clip out right here. See that? So you gotta pull that one out. And then we'll grab this line here. Give me 1 second. And grab this line right here. Got to work that a little bit. And then you can pull up on it, and you got to work it some more, and it'll pop loose. So I like to use 2 hands for that, and I'll bring it right back. Here we go. Alright, so you got to work that a little bit. I use the pry bar ever so gently because you don't want to bend the line. I stick it right in between here, and I was jiggling this back and forth real quick with the pry bar, ever so gently, and in the meantime jiggling this and pull up on it, and then she'll come loose, and you'll have some coolant coming out. So you're going to let that run for a bit because the coolant level at this point is lower. So let's see if you can get this pushed up a little bit, and we can get it out of our way. If anything else, I'm thinking I'm going to wrap me a zip tie and just zip tie this up right there. So like I said, in the meantime, we'll let the coolant drain out. And now when once that's draining out, I want to go to the other side and get that other snap ring out. So and we'll bring you back for that here in a minute. Here we go. Before we go underneath, I grab my clipper doodle tool, and I'll set that on top of that hose there, because that needs to come off too. There you go. Like that. So that comes off right there. Just set that off to the side a little bit. There you go. And now we're going to go back underneath and get that other clip out for the other coolant line. Here we go. Okay, so now we're under the truck. If you go, you're going to use another pick like you used before. You can go up there so you can get some. And you can tell this whole truck is out of aluminum. So you can tell right there where my finger is at, there is another, that's the other fitting on the back side of the turbo that looks just like the one on top and has the same kind of clip in it. So I don't know if you can tell or not. So that needs to come out. That's that. And then we need to get these two bolts out right here. So there's one there and one there. They need to come out because that's for the oil feed and drain for the turbo. So that needs to get done. So we'll do that next. Here we go. And we'll bring it right back. Alright, next would be to right here you got your oil drain and supply. There's two bolts there right here, T45. I got them out from underneath with a long extension, something like this right here, quarter drive. They're not super tight, so that's how I got those out. And then next would be our turbo to exhaust manifold bolts right here. These three, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to get those out now. That is a T47, I believe. Yep, T47. I use a 3/8 drive for that. They can be fairly tight. They shouldn't be super tight, but they can be fairly tight. So we're going to get those out now. When you pull the clip out on that drain, the coolant tube on the back side of that turbo, that's all you're going to do there. We're going to take those 3 bolts out, then the whole turbo should come loose, and then we're going to grab the turbo and start jiggling it back and forth. May want to use a little bit of penetrating oil to help it slide out easier. Just to help it, but like I said, we're going to jiggle the turbo back and forth, and then that should release itself. So let's get those 3 bolts out right there, and then with a T47, and then we'll bring it back. Here we go. These can be pretty tight, so as you can tell, there we go. Now you can switch over to a shorter ratchet. This is my 3/8 super long handle ratchet that I have. Give me 1 second here. Right here. So yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna get those bolts out, and then we'll bring back. Here we go. So we got the 3 bolts out now. It's just sitting there. It's basically leaning on the drain, the oil drain and supply tube. So now you got to be really careful, because remember, we got that coolant line that looks just like this one right here on the back side of that turbo. So, and they've sprayed a little bit of penetrating oil there, so that should help lube everything up and make it pull out a little easier. When you do the driver's side, by the way, you may want to take the starter out. It will give you a little more room to operate. Makes it 10 times easier to get that other clip out. So just keep that in mind. And even if you drain the coolant out of the radiator, there still be coolant, you know, coming out of this right here, because this is all lower than the radiator to begin with. So just keep those things in mind. But yeah, so here we go. Let's get this this turbo out. I mean, the camera is in my way, so, but you get the gist of it. You grab the turbo, just start twisting it back and forth. Slightly pull on it, not too much, and then that turbo should pop out. So let me get because like I said, the camera is right here, so, and I need to work around it. So anyway, but yeah, you get the idea, and then we'll bring it right back. Here we go. All right, we got the turbo out. This is that fitting on the back side I was talking about. This one was pretty stuck, so I grabbed the pry bar and set it behind right here, and then jiggled it a little bit. But remember, you got to be extremely careful and extremely gently with it. Move the turbo around. Like I said, if it's pretty stuck in there, like this one was, I used the pry bar and just create a little bit of force so that drain tube will come out. And then that's right here, this black tube here, that's that drain tube that I was talking about. That sits there, that stays put. It's, you know, it's solid. So like I said, just make sure you do not use too much force. If you do use a pry bar, you do not use too much force, because the last thing you want to do is bend this line and kink it, because then you're in a world of trouble. Then you need to replace that entire line too. So just be ever so gently, and you're just going to have to work it a little bit. There's a gasket right here on the oil and drain tube that needs to be replaced, and then here on the exhaust, there is another gasket right here, a metal one, that needs to be replaced. See, this one is bad. See that? It's separated. So, and these comes with clips on there, so when you put the new one on there, it will stay in place, so it don't fall off on you. But yeah, make sure that you replace these gaskets, because they're crushed gaskets, so you can basically only use them once. So alright, then we're going to bring this to the workbench, and now we're going to change the fittings out. Here we go. And I forgot to mention, there will be some coolant coming out of that tube there that's on the back side of the turbo. I put a rag on top of that oil drain, because you don't really want to have any coolant going into your oil. So I strongly recommend you would change the oil anyway. Therefore, if there's any coolant in your oil, that way you don't have to worry about contamination. So that's, you know, one of the things I'm going to do anyway. We're going to drain the oil, but like I said, nonetheless, make sure you keep as much coolant out as possible. So here we go. Let's go to the workbench and get those fittings changed out. Here we go. Alright, so I'm going to turn this around so y'all can. So there's your fitting. Takes a 19 mil. It might be pretty tight on there. There it's at. So that's the rubber gasket. Now the new ones are right here. It's the part number to that fitting. This is a new one, and before you install it, lube up the O-ring right here a little bit with some oil. And then here is the part number for the oil drain gasket right here. So if you want to pause the screen, you can write that down. And then for the exhaust manifold, the turbo gasket right here, and right there's the part number, sorry. So there you go. Alright, and then just put it back together. Make sure you lube everything up. On the inside of your new fitting, there's an O-ring, things of that nature. You get new clips that go in there. You leave the clips on there, and if you push your old line back on there, it should pop right into place. But use a little bit of grease or oil so it slips in there pretty nice. And like I said, lube up the O-ring a little bit, and yeah. The rest is pretty simple from there, and then put everything back together the way it is. So there you go. Please like and subscribe. Helps the channel out a lot. Don't cost nothing. And we're going to catch y'all on the next one. Peace out.